Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Human Conversations. I am Jessica Lockhart. I am the director of the International Institute of Humanology, and I am thrilled to have a new edition of Human Conversations, especially an edition like today's. Because today we have four amazing women with us, four amazing women who have a very interesting life stories, who have a lot to share, a lot to talk about. And we're going to be focusing on something that is doubly hard for women today. I wrote on the description of today's human conversation that traditionally women have it harder if they want to enter the labor market. But if we consider not only the labor market, but the labor market in a foreign country, that really makes it even tougher. That's why we decided to approach this topic here in Human Conversations and speak about it openly. There's more and more expatriates all around the world. There's more and more migrants all around the world. There's more and more women who move for many different reasons. They may be following their husbands. They may be following their career. They may be moving because they want to improve the quality of their lives. And they need to find a place in their new host country, and they need to work. And many of them choose to be entrepreneurs and open their own companies. That's why we decided to approach this very interesting topic today in Human Conversations. I am thrilled, I am honored, I am extremely happy to introduce the four speakers to you, the four experts that are going to accompany us today to discuss woman, foreigner, entrepreneur. So let me just show them on the screen briefly so you can see their faces. I will start by introducing Alexandra Philipona. Alexandra is a coach, an ICF coach, who is also the head of the chapter of ICF in Bern, Switzerland, where she resides. She is not Swiss though, so she's an expat herself, and she trained as an optimism coach with us here in the International Institute of Humanology. I'm really proud and happy to have her here today. Alexandra, welcome. Next, let me introduce Julie Miles Lewis, who is connecting all the way from the Emirates. I met Julie quite a few years back in India when we were both being awarded one of the 100 best coaches in the world or something like that award in India. And we connected immediately. She's a superwoman. She's a super sportswoman. She's a super inspirational woman. She's a super motivational speaker. She does all these incredible, amazing adventures like going on the North Pole and that kind of thing. She will tell us a bit about it when she gets the microphone and starts talking about her adventures as a foreigner entrepreneur in a country that is not her own. Hi, Julie. So happy to have you here. Then let me introduce Adriana Meyer is from Brazil. The two last experts I'm going to be introducing today happen to be from Brazil. She is a business psychologist who's also a coach and created an amazing network called Expats and Entrepreneurs together with another colleague, I think in London. And she is helping a lot of expats all around the world through that network and is, I am very happy to say, a leading expert in this field. So I'm very happy to have her here with us today. Adriana, welcome. And last but not least at all, we have Patricia Mutzke. I hope I pronounced your last name properly. As I said, she's also Brazilian, but she happens to be living in Switzerland. So we have the connection with Alexandra as well. Patricia is an international lawyer. She's an expert in Brazilian and Swiss law, and I think she has the first official Swiss-Brazilian law office or bureau in Bern, in the city of Bern, the capital of Switzerland, and is also, of course, an expat with a lot of experience in the field. Welcome, Patricia. So happy to have you here. And now, without further ado, let's move on to the important thing of today, which is the human conversation. We're going to talk immediately about women, foreigner, entrepreneur. Let me start by asking the first question to my guests today. The first question says, what would you say are the hardest hurdles you face for being a woman, a foreigner, and an entrepreneur all in one. So what are the main difficulties, the main obstacles? What is the hardest part? Julie, would you like to go first and break the ice?
Sure, I'll break the ice. I didn't bring my ice axe. Normally I take that up the mountains with me. Well, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be part of this panel. And first of all, I'm the eternal optimist. So when I say hurdles, I think being a woman is a blessing. Being a foreigner is a real adventure. And obviously being an entrepreneur is an opportunity for endless possibilities. So when you combine being a woman, a foreigner, and an entrepreneur, then that's a pretty powerful combination. And of course, that brings possibilities, and it also brings challenges. And if I use the metaphor of the mountain, you know, there's many highs, there's many lows, and there's many plateaus where we're stuck and things aren't moving, and we're going, what do I need to do next? So I really think, you know, rather than focus on age, gender, or nationality, because we're all very international, I think our values, you know, what's important to us, what are we passionate about, what are we oozing energy to, you know, to be of service to. So I guess really the hurdles are, you know, the legal setup in the country, your resources and your support. So obviously, you know, Adriana's, you know, platforms and make it really, really easy. And I think the key thing is to ask for help. You know, we often think, you know, I need to do this all by myself. You know, some of us can be dysfunctionally independent, and I put my hand up to that one. And I think, you know, it's really, really important to ask for help. So, you know, getting the base, the foundation, absolutely strong and set up, you know, just as you would before you're climbing off a mountain, you have everything in place and off you go. And that's a big adventure. Yeah, I hope that kind of answers that first question.
Thank you so much, Julie. Of course, how could a mountaintop stand without a very solid bottom? Exactly, precisely your metaphor. I love it, Julie. Thank you so much. Patricia, would you like to go next? What would you say are the biggest hurdles or problems?
I think the biggest problem are to continually development from yourself. You have continuously to develop your management skills, your soft skills, your knowledge on the market, and also your professional technical skills. So you have continuous issues to learn. And it's, for me, is not, I would not say a problem, but it's an issue that I have every day, you know. And I think you have to learn it more here than in your country, because you have to know everything about your professional and also about the cultural, the moral, and how it works in this new country.
Yeah, that is absolutely important and basic as well. And I agree with you, it's one of the hardest hurdles sometimes. Adriana, what's your take on this? What would you say are the greatest hurdles?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me to this beautiful conversation, Jessica. And as Julie and Patricia just said, I would add that being a woman itself, a wife and a mother, is really hard. And we work full time and we don't have a proper salary for that. Of course, we have other sorts of compensations, but mainly we do it because we are juggling ourselves. And when we try to go to entrepreneurship in another country, for example, it is important for some of the women to understand the local culture, and especially because if they face some language barriers. I've done some research, some academic research, and we really know that for these women to get inserted in the local culture is sometimes very hard. So when they start understanding the laws of the country and also the market needs, the practicalities of starting a new business abroad, and also asking for some professional advice, as you all said, because of course sometimes you might know how to do business in your own country, but it might be that it's different, completely different in another country, in the country that you are at the moment. And you will need to start by building a network of support that will make you feel integrated. So that's pretty much my take on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Yes, I agree with you. A network is something that I always used in my own expat situations. I've had the fortune of living in 8 different countries already, and in each of them, that was one of the basics. I needed a network. Without a network, I couldn't survive. Thank you. Thank you, Adriana. Alexandra, what would you say about this from your point of view?
From my point of view, I think it doesn't really matter where you are, but very often it's ourself. It's we are standing in our own way because we want to be the perfect mom, as you already said, Adriana. No, we are the perfect mom, the perfect partner, the perfect entrepreneur. And each of them is already 100% job. And then, I think that's really what came up for me. And a lot of people, they claim it or they blame it on society, and they say, oh, it's the society who doesn't let me grow, who doesn't let me do this. But I really believe, in Switzerland, for example, or Germany, where I'm from, it's not really the society, but it's ourselves, that we accept, what they want us to be, and that we don't say stop, that we don't put our limits out there, and that we, just let that do with us. And I think this is the biggest hurdle we are having as a woman and as a foreigner and, as a business woman.
Okay, so you seem to highlight, thank you, Alexandra, that female aspect of us being multitasking all the time and being in charge of everything. And that comes before all the other 2 aspects. Thank you so much, Adriana. Thank you to the 4 experts. I would like to move on to the next question. I think we're already receiving some responses and some reactions on our transmissions. So please feel free to ask us questions, send us your comments and questions. If you're watching this live, and if you watch it later on the reruns, don't forget to leave your questions as well. We will forward them to our experts and you will get your answers. So the next question is, what would you recommend any woman who wants to become an entrepreneur in a foreign country to always do no matter what? So what are the musts? Adriana, you go first this time, please.
Let me just unmute myself. Yeah, so from my own experience, and that's why we launched Expats and Entrepreneurs, being part of a network of support, I would say is the priority for any of the women that wants to go to entrepreneurship. Because when you go to a new country, you might not know anyone there. You might be new to everything, to the practicalities again, and you will need the support. So if you are part of a network, of a group that can empower you to feel that you're connected, you are on the right way, even if it's to give you some small tips on how to handle with your kids while you are opening your business, setting up your business, that might be a great support. And also, I would say, trust yourself. Sometimes we doubt ourselves with self-doubt, and this is our worst enemy. So if you have like a portable career that you can take with you and start in another country, in a new country, it might be worth trying with your leadership skills, because we tend often to also rely on leadership skills that are more of the male format or things like that. So if you trust, like your instincts, like using empathy, humility, also your integrity, compassion, so you will see that you will connect with a lot of women and it will make your process easier while you're adjusting and going to entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Adriana. So all those human traits, which is, as you know, part of humanology and what we work on. Patricia, what would you say?
I would say, if you have a dream, a desire, do it. Develop a strategy based on your real skills and experience and expertise. Do not try to be an all-rounder. Try to find a way of a niche, a very small market where you can stand out. You know, for example, my niche is divorce for expats in Switzerland. That's my focus here, you know. So it's only an example, but and after that, after finding your small niche, small market, after that, put it into action with a lot of focus, patience, and tenacity. That's my opinion as an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have to be tenacious. We have to keep on trying because, well, one of the key elements in humanology is, as you may all know, optimism coaching. And we always say that optimists never give up. They always look for new ways to do things. They always look for new avenues, new doors, new windows, new everything. So they keep on pursuing their goals and dreams, as you very well said, Patricia. So remember to not lose your optimism on the way. Julie, what would you say are the musts?
Sure. Well, you touched on the, you know, like the number one essential element of resilience. And I think, you know, life, business, work, health, you know, requires resilience, and that's optimism really, and to be able to focus on solutions. So I would really highly recommend, you know, some research, you know, looking into the country, you know, what would be the setup there, what organizations are already in, and ideally if you can spend some time there. You know, I went to Kuwait when I was 27. I'm now 59. So I've been an expat for a long, long time. So, you know, I went, I was the first female sports and recreation manager in Kuwait back in 1989. So I went and I was gathering information. So I was learning while I was earning, which is, you know, nice to be able to do that. So I think to be able to spend some time there, whether you go and do a short contract or you go and visit, and then really, really make sure that, you know, you kind of connect with all the organizations, associations, the groups, the entrepreneur groups, the business groups, you know, that your network is your net worth is a lovely one to remember, isn't it? You know, that it's not necessary to kind of go it alone, that you can kind of find an instant network of support there. To connect with and to collaborate. And I particularly liked Alexandra and Adriana both touched on this. You know, sometimes we're getting in our own way. So do we choose to be the victim who blames, complains, justifies, and gives himself a hard time? Oh, I should have done that. I should have done that. Or it was his fault or her fault. Or, you know, the country just didn't understand me or something. You know, to actually take on the role of the master and 100% accountability. And really, like a river, I'm going to draw an analogy of a river, always find a way, you know, adapting to what's going on underneath, what's ahead, adapting to the environment, and knowing that you're going to be going to greater things, the ocean. So we need to be like rivers, mountains and rivers.
Well, I didn't mention it, but Julie is a writer and she's published a few books, and they all evolve a little bit around nature too. So thank you, Julie. It's funny because I see you're talking, Julie, and all our foreheads are bobbing up on them. Well, we're all nodding like we agree with what you are saying, but we were also nodding while Patricia was talking, Adriana and Alexandra were talking, because I think that being a female entrepreneur in a foreign country has so many commonalities for everyone. We all go through so many things that are the same or very similar, that the experience is quite comparable. So that's why I think that the 4 perspectives today can give anybody who's listening and watching a very clear picture of the reality we're facing. Alexandra, would you tell us your musts?
Yeah, my must is stay true to yourself, because this is really the first must for me. And then stay open to anything else around you, also to the local people. I find it really very important to really connect to the local people and become a part of them, like start, you know, playing tennis or do some sports so you can really integrate. And I think this is, I mean, it's easier when you have children because then you get in touch. If they don't go to an international school, but if they go to a local school like mine, I mean, we are German speaking, but they're really here in the village in French speaking schools, so really integrate with the people, because then you can kind of grow some roots, and even if they are not forever, but you can feel at home there. And I think this opens already up a lot of things, you know, also a lot of energy for yourself. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid, you know, of all these negative things which could happen. Always ask yourself, what was this good for? What did this situation teach me? You know, what positive can I take out of it? And then you will make it anywhere in your life.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. Well, we have quite a few musts here. I think basically all of them go back to that concept of who am I? What do I want? So ladies, because I guess most of our audience today is made up of ladies who are foreigners and entrepreneurs, remember to know who you are first and then take it from there. The third question we have today, and we're going really fast today. Ladies, you have a little more time to answer the questions if you want to, okay? You can take your time too. But I see you're really into the topic and you're really focused on what you're saying, and I love it. The next question we have is, what if the people we're talking to want to be entrepreneurs in the specific country each of you are living in? Please tell us what country it is, because people might have forgotten. And also let us know what would be the specifics of that country if people want to become entrepreneurs there. So why don't you go first, Patricia?
Sure. I am in Switzerland, in Bern, and I understand that the procedure in Switzerland, it's not so different from in other countries, but here especially you have to understand the dialect. I think it's very important. Not only the German or French or Italian, but also the dialect, because the people, they want to talk in this way, and they talk a lot, very fast sometimes when negotiating. So for me, in my business, it's very important to understand also the dialect. But it's only my experience, you know, as a lawyer. So, and another point here, as I told before, you have to be a specialist in a niche, in a very small market. Otherwise, you can't stand out from the competition. So it's very important to settle down your business. And also, the other ladies already said very, very good that we have to try to connect with intelligent business people. So making our networking, what are we doing today here again and again. And yeah, those are the most important points for me in Switzerland.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that anyone thinking of settling in Switzerland or maybe becoming an entrepreneur there, or if they're already living there, appreciates what you just said, Patricia. Thank you. And I think we'll go back to that in a minute when we have the questions from the audience. Adriana, what would you say is the situation like in your country?
Thank you, Jessica. So as Patricia said, I am in Qatar, in Doha, and here also the language might be a barrier for you. So it might be that you need to translate first some of the documents to the Arab language and then start your process, because this is a must here, this is a requirement. But if we look to women's entrepreneurship as an integral part of the current global economic, we will also see that it's a trend here in Qatar. And they are supporting this trend here because of the National Vision 2030 here in Qatar. So everyone that wants to invest is really welcome. And I would say here to start by hiring an experienced lawyer or consultancy company like Patricia's in Switzerland. I'm sure she does an international business, which is highly advisable when setting up a business here in Qatar. And before you start this process, you really need to evaluate what you're going to do, and very carefully, because the process can be costly and bureaucratic. So if you are thinking also of a free zone, for example, it's also another possibility here. And there are specific parties here that really support entrepreneurs like us and expats. So for example, Qatar Financial Center is really a good help and a good source of support. And you will need to find some licenses and permits. You will need to check how to obtain maybe a business visa if you're not in the country yet. And but all that is possible and doable. I know many people here already that are representatives and that are working in these companies and organizations. So if anyone watching us would like to have some help or advice on this part, please just do let me know. And I would also like to consider something that I found very tricky here myself when I was establishing expats and entrepreneurs. So you might want to know if you're going to do it physically as a real local business, or if you're going to do it as an e-commerce, for instance. So this segment, the e-commerce, is really growing here in Qatar, of course, especially due to the navigation, through the normal means of doing business and everything. But you will also need to have a permanent residence visa to do this kind of online business here. So it's always good to start by doing a huge research. There was a very, very recent article that came out yesterday from a source on the website. So I can share with you later on. I can type here on the chat. And it's always good to connect with people that are already doing the business.
Thank you. Thank you for that information, Adriana. I'm sure that anyone thinking of going to Qatar finds it really useful. And not only in Qatar, because some of the things you said applies to other countries as well. Julie, what's your take on the Emirates? What would you like to say?
Sure. I'm a British expatriate, although now I came up with a new term, Emirita, because there's 7 Emirates in the United Arab Emirates. And I kind of move between Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah. So I can't say I'm Emirati. I say I'm an Emirita because I'm moving around the Emirates. So there's 7 Emirates. You know, I think, you know, the UAE has just gone, you know, over the last kind of 20 years since I've been here. And I can see that same phenomenon is going to, is happening in Qatar, but also in Saudi. You know, when a lot of people think about women in Saudi now, you know, they also have their 2030 plan. And so I think the whole region, the Middle East region, that is getting a lot more attention than it ever used to have before. You know, as I mentioned, I first went to work in Kuwait when I was 27. I came to Dubai in 1997 to 99. And so I really came and I started to work in the country, and I was observing, looking at, you know, how do people start their business? What do they do? Where's the gap? Where's the market? Where's the market and the gap in the market? And then I kind of took a soft entry because I went under somebody else's umbrella. So I became a division of a company that was already established. So I did it kind of crawl, walk, run kind of scenario. So I had a job. I then went under the umbrella of a company, which is possible to do. And then I started my own kind of trade license in a free zone in Abu Dhabi as a consultant back in 2012. And I've kept my license with them for the last 9 years. So free zones are very, very useful. And there are many, many companies here that will help business startups. There are many incubator programs. There are many, the American Chamber of Commerce, the British Chamber, many organizations from all different kind of countries that have a presence here that will help you, you know, navigate some of the ways to help you get started. And I think just recently, the UAE Dubai offered an e-residency. So, you know, you could be a digital nomad. So anybody in the tech space, and that's where things are really flying, isn't it, could actually come and live and work in the UAE, where before you had to have a sponsor, you had to have a residency visa, several things. So it's definitely making it more easy to do that. And I think definitely, yeah, the business groups, you know, I think Alexandra mentioned also the sports, you know, your network of who you're playing with as well as who you're doing business with, because, you know, you need to have different resources. Who can help me with this? So that if things go, you know, you've got other people that you can connect with, you know, there's always somebody. Whether it's in the triathlon club, you know, the natural history group, or the, you know, the expat women's group. So I think this is very important, and the UAE is very, very good on that in terms of the, you know, 85% of the population here are expatriates from all different nationalities. So we kind of really looked after, because we're the bulk of the population. You know, I think our population is around 10 million. So when you look at those figures, yeah, and as I mentioned, you know, there's many new licenses that, what I would call cottage industries, that you can work from home. You don't have to take office space. And that used to be before quite a biggie, that you need, before you get your visa and your residency, you need to have a certain amount of office space, these papers, these papers, these papers. So they've made it super, super easy. And I think a lot of countries are doing that, you know, when you can be a digital nomad in several countries around the world now, and they're saying, come, you know, you're welcome, kind of thing. So I think it's, yeah, the United Arab Emirates has been very, very good to me. And we have World Expo coming up here, inshallah, as we say, in October. So I think that will kind of open up more interest as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. I'm afraid the image was cutting a little bit, but the message came across very clearly. I think that COVID has somehow helped us move forward in this aspect very much. I think it really made companies and governments realize that digital working is a real possibility, and that there are many, many, many opportunities that are not being exploited, or that were not being exploited. And this has made a lot of people move faster. So in that sense, I think it's going to profit us, it's going to benefit us in a way that we will have to judge in the future. Not yet, it's a bit too early, I think. Alexandra, well, you go next, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Patricia already talked a little bit about Switzerland. I'm also based in Switzerland, and I'm originally, as I already mentioned, from Germany. So for me, it's not a big difference between the two countries, I have to say. But what, yeah, it is really different if you're from a Schengen country or not. So that makes a huge difference in Switzerland, because if you are from a Schengen country, then you can just move to Switzerland if you have a work or your partner goes. So it's no problem. And once you're here and you have your foreigner passport in Switzerland, you can open up your own business without any problems. But you really have to be conscious that you respect the law. I mean, this is really a country where you have to respect the law, and it's not you can try to do it your own way or whatever. You really need to know and inform yourself what is the law, what are the papers you need, and all this in advance. And if you have this in advance, then it's quite easy. You have to be on time. This is very, very important in Switzerland. So people here, they don't like it at all when people are late. So this is like really a must. And you have to be very polite, especially in the German-speaking part. The people, they don't like it at all when you are very direct. So for me, in the beginning, because in Germany, we are much more direct when we speak. And for us, it's not unpolite, but for the Swiss ears, it can be rough. So you really have to respect this, because otherwise the people in Switzerland, they become annoyed, and then they might have the tendency to block you rather. So, but this is also in general. And what did I, yeah, so these are the main things. It's like really respect the law and follow the rules and be polite with the people. That's what, and of course the language, as Patricia already said, it is always very helpful if you speak the language. So if you speak German and you understand at least the Swiss German, and when you're in the French speaking part, you really need to speak French. So German doesn't help really there because people, they don't speak German. And when you're in the Italian speaking part, you really need to speak Italian. And I think that's also something that people, they need to be aware of when they come to Switzerland, because very often they don't even know that we have these three languages. Like in Germany, most people think that all Swiss, they speak German. So yeah, these are my recommendations.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. It's funny because you're talking about Swiss German and regular German, to call it somehow, German from Germany. I used to live in Switzerland, as you know, and when you first land in Switzerland, you're recommended to learn German, yes. But then you go to the school and you learn High German or German from Germany. And then people in the streets don't use German from Germany, but Swiss German, which is completely different and has nothing to do one with the other, and you can't understand the thing. And when you try to use your German that you're so hard, with so much effort, studied in school, in the streets, you go to the store and you try to use German, they don't understand you and they shift back to English because they use Swiss German instead of German. So it's a struggle, yes, for some foreigners. And this brings me to the first question I have for you today. Let me open the panel. Remember that now we are in the open panel. You can answer the questions, all of them, none of them, the ones that call your attention, the ones you have something to say about. Okay, one of the questions we have is, you are talking as expats who have been settled in the country for quite a while, but many expats follow their spouses, for example, or follow their careers, and they go to the countries for just 2-3 years each time. And having a business like that is extremely difficult. Do you have any experience on that? Do you have any recommendations for that? Is there anybody who would like to answer this question? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Alexandra first.
So I think also that Corona was really helpful, or is helpful. So many of our jobs now, they became kind of international because we are doing anyway, we are online. So I'm working much more now with the US. I didn't do that before that much, you know, and I have also clients in India, and I think that's what you can look for. I mean, if you have the possibility, you know, that you have a job which could be kind of international, and then just go for it and do that. And so it will be much easier for you to follow your spouse.
Okay. Julie, you also wanted to answer?
Yeah, I think this WFA, work from anywhere, or, you know, location independent, is huge right now. And there's so much that we can do online. You know, I'm a bit of a kind of digital detox person. So, you know, we're spending a lot of time in front of screens. However, it's a great way to be global wherever you are. You know, you could literally be on that beach somewhere or up on a mountain somewhere. As long as you've got Wi-Fi, you can, you know, you're open all hours kind of thing. I remember when, I mean, I remarried when I was 45, and within 6 months of getting married, my husband was transferred to Hong Kong. And you know, I'd been in this part of the world for a long time. So he went first, you know, he went for 3 months, and then I kind of tagged along, and I kind of opened Mountain High Asia very, very quickly, but then I just used to hop between the two. So I would always say, you know, don't burn your bridges, you know, keep those connections and collaborations open, because you never know why you might end up going back. And look what happened. You know, we were 2 years in Hong Kong, and then Kaylin was transferred to Saudi. At that time I said, I prefer not to be in Saudi, I'll come and visit. So I moved back to Dubai, and I'd still kept my license, my bank account and everything. So I know that's not always possible, but I do think now there are a lot more choices to be able to work from anywhere and transfer your skills around the globe. And yeah, it can be kind of disruptive. I totally, hands up, yeah, it's disruptive when you're packing and you know, selling things, and you know, you're giving away all your plants and things that you thought you were going to be here for a while, you know, some of the things that we gave up and things, and kind of making new friends. But by having these kind of connections, you know, if you're in a sports thing, you go and find who's the triathlon club, who's the natural history group, who's the business groups there, you know, and you can often do a lot of this planning before you even move to the country, you know, which I did when we were going to Hong Kong, because I thought, Hong Kong is very different from Dubai, and Hong Kong is super fast, and, whoosh, and I need to get with the program kind of thing. So yeah, I think, making sure that you keep your connection strong wherever you go, because you might end up coming back that loop. I find a lot of expats are between Asia and the Middle East. It could be Singapore, Hong Kong, or Qatar, Dubai. So they kind of bounce between the two. And obviously, if you're in the diplomatic field, if your spouse, either one is in the diplomatic field, that's a real adventure, isn't it? That's when you really need to think about what could be doable anywhere. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Anybody else would like to answer this question? I have a little bit more information on the question that I will add later. Yes, Adriana, go ahead.
Yes, I would love to add on what Julie just said, because I remember when I left Brazil for the first time, it was really hard for me to find something that would be useful with the expertise that I had. And then my idea was, I started studying again. So I started a master's degree, and that's where I found coaching. And then I found the passion for what I'm doing nowadays and reconnected with a lot of friends and women throughout the world. And that's how we built this network of support, expats and entrepreneurs. But this is what I would like to leave here as my personal story. So try to use the skills and the expertise that you already have. And maybe you can use that as a portable career that you will take wherever you go in the world. And that will not mean that you will need to interrupt something that you just started and then, oh, here we go again after 2 or 3 years, as you just said. So it's easier for you. And again, keeping the connections open, as Julie said. Don't close any doors, because you never know if you're coming back to that country. And it will be really helpful. And again, being part of a network of support for women. This is, again, to me, the most valuable thing.
Thank you, Adriana. Anybody else wants to add anything? Okay, let me give you a little information, a little background on that question, because I know who asked the question, and I have a little inside information. I hope she doesn't mind that I share it. Well, the woman who asked the question is a woman I met in Moscow, in Russia, and she used to have a fantastic bakery. She used to make cupcakes. She started small, like we all sometimes do. She started baking cupcakes at home, and then she did all these fancy cupcakes. But then she got a divorce, hey, Patricia, and she moved back to the UK. And she had to sell the bakery because, of course, she couldn't support it. And I've met quite a few people like that. It's easy to move from country to country and carry your business with you when you do services. But when you do products, that becomes much harder, because imagine if well, I'm a writer as well, and I sell books. Well, I just recently came to Panama, and I found it really hard to sell my paper copies from Panama to the world. And sending them from here outside is so extremely expensive, you would be shocked. For example, because there's no postal service to speak of, there's no mailboxes, there's no mailman, there's nothing like that. You have to use couriers all the time. I had to send a letter to Spain a few months ago, and they wanted to charge me $70 to send the letter. A letter. Imagine if I have to send the book. So I guess that selling products makes it much tougher than selling services. Any ideas in that field? Anything we could add to what was already said before? Or maybe Patricia's case, being a lawyer and being an expert in Brazilian Swiss law might make it harder for you to work any other place in the world. So, how do you tackle these things being an expat? Any ideas?
Yeah, my business is physical. I have a law office here in Bern. And at the beginning, I started thinking about, how could I practice Brazilian law here? I know a lot from Swiss law, of course, but I also have my studies in Brazil. So I have the two systems. I want to work with the two systems. And then I started to be creative. I started to offer service that I could give online, remote service, you know. So nowadays I speak with clients all around the world.
Thank you for that insight.
Yeah, you have to be creative in what you can, you know, and try to make products from them.
Perfect, Patricia. Thank you.
I know it's easy to say, but it's not. It's a big way. It's a long way. I know it, but it's worth. Do it. Go inside and say what I can do. How can I change it or transform it into a remote product?
Thank you, Patricia. Very inspiring. I know Adriana wanted to answer, and then Alexandra as well.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you, Jessica. What you highlighted is absolutely fantastic, Patricia, because, for instance, from the research I've done before, women that used to be, for instance, an architect in their countries, nowadays they do landscaping where they are. So they are trying to just adapt and adjust what they have, the skills, the knowledge, the expertise to the new country, to the new reality. And in the case of your friend here from Russia, I would say if you are a baker, if you have had so much experience with that, why not starting a cooking shop online where you can just teach people how to do their own bakers or products or things like that, pastries, whatever. And then it might be that will spark your passion for when things are better. You can reopen a shop or do business in the physical, traditional way.
Thank you, Adriana. I'll make sure to tell her. Yes, Alexandra.
Yeah, I wanted to join this because I think that being creative, that's really the key, you know. And I'm originally an engineer and I was working in the printing business. But then I was figuring out, you know, living alone with 4 kids, it's difficult, you know, to be in the office the whole day. So I became a coach and I adapted and I love coaching, you know. And then I was working a lot with a German company. So I had to go to Germany quite often. But then the lockdown came and I'm not going there anymore. And again, I became creative, you know, and I'm doing like almost everything now online. And I think we have to be like a chameleon, you know, always like adapt and make the best out of it. And I think it's really important to also stay positive and stay happy when you are doing this, because the moment you only see the problems and the negative challenges you are facing, it won't work. And so staying creative, staying positive, this is, the main thing we need to do. And then there will be always some answers, some ways where we can go to. I know it's not always easy, but we can all do it, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. We have a question and a comment, I think, coming from Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken. The question says, it's difficult to start a big startup, but what do you think about social entrepreneurship? Anybody would like to speak about this? Difficult to open a big startup. What about social entrepreneurship? Yes, Adriana?
That's an absolute great idea, because nowadays more than ever people are really worried about the planet, about a cause, about aligning your values, your passion for something that you truly believe in entrepreneurship. So why not, for instance, we have a very good friend, Jessica knows her, and she's doing a great job with that, is Saskia. And she is also an entrepreneur, and she's teaching women to follow their passion and align that with a cause they really admire. So for instance, if you want to help refugees, if you want to support like a religious cause, or if you want to just support kids or mothers or just women, like what we are doing in Expats and Entrepreneurs, so you can become a social entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Adriana. Anybody else would like to make a comment about this question or answer the question? Yes, go for it, Julie.
Yeah, I think, when you get involved with different CSR or social initiatives, then that automatically opens up your network of people. And then you're seen to be somebody that's a go-getter and a go-giver, so that they're much more likely, when you do start your big startup, if you choose to, because maybe you get so wrapped up in your social entrepreneurial business. I'm part of a group called Azraq, which means blue in Arabic. And it's kind of ocean cleanup, wildlife, and you get so involved. And they've actually got paid positions now. So some people just said, I'd just like to help out. And now they're actually in a paid position and they've got other bigger ideas. So I think sometimes, whether it's children, the environment, women, microfinancing, I think when you actually dive into things like that, then that's when the magic happens. If you sit back and think, no, I have to wait for everything to be in place, and this is my big dream, so why would I start here? It's like the power of the start, taking that first step. It really, really does make a big, it's where the magic happens. The minute that you take that first step and say, I'm here, this is what I'm doing, this is what I love to do, come and plant a tree with me, come and clean a beach, come and, paint a wall, come and do these things, and things open up, opportunities open up that wouldn't necessarily open up if you were waiting for that big thing, Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Julie. Anybody else? If not, please allow me to answer the question myself. I don't usually do this, but, well, as you know, the Institute of Humanology is quite a social entrepreneurship as well. We are always helping people all around the world. Here's a sample of it today. This Human Conversation program is something we do pro bono for everyone. We share it. We help people all around the world with ideas and disseminating information. And because Adriana mentioned Saskia, let me publicly announce some program that we're preparing right now that we're really, 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 really excited about, and that is really related to what we're talking about today. We are very soon launching the Humanology program called I Lead My Own Integration. It's a 7-module program targeting displaced people. It can be refugees, migrants, expats, anybody, because one of the things we discovered is that when you arrive in a country, if you go as an expat, the company might provide this. If you go as a refugee, the government might provide this. They give you these little short courses to help you integrate in the country, in your new host country. But they're usually always focused on knowing a little bit about the language, knowing a little bit about the culture, and that's it. The program we are preparing in the Institute focuses on me taking control of my own integration. What do I need? What is blocking me? What am I missing? What don't I get? What don't I understand? What don't I have? What are my values? But more important, what are my strengths? How can I use them? So just so everybody watching us today knows about it, this program will be available very, very, very soon, within the next few weeks. So if interested, just drop us a word and we'll let you know all the details about it. Sorry, I just had to say it because it fitted in so well. And the person who asked the question also made a comment that I'd like to read to you all. She says, I'm running an entrepreneurs club in KSA, and many women groomed their expertise just to practice on domestic level. Bird in hand philosophy is very useful for starters. So she's telling us that they are already trying to help those women, and that they think it's important to have a hands-on approach and helping them take the first steps. And that is fundamental. Thank you very much, Javeria, for sharing that comment with us. We have another question. Okay, we have another question for you. The question says, you all talk about networking, but how do you do it if you're an introvert? You need to be an extrovert to network easily. What if you're an introvert? Does anybody? Yes, Alexandra, go for it.
Yeah. Look for one-to-one conversations. Don't put any pressure on yourself and go to groups right away, because that won't work. Really try to connect one-on-one, and then just do once a week. Don't overdo it. Don't put too much pressure there, and just give yourself the time you need, and then it should work well.
Thank you for that tip, Alexandra. Adriana, you also wanted to make a comment?
Yes, thank you for highlighting that, Alexandra. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs in our group, believe me, that are absolutely like that. We invite them to come, join the meetings, take part, and they say, no, but I can't talk in a big group. I cannot expose myself. I cannot, just relate to people like that because they are introverted. So we have in our group something very special. We created Facebook groups. We created the Instagram pages so we can start connecting, not at this one-to-one or group level, but rather you can just start feeling if that group really is to you. And sometimes you will find someone there that you will start connecting first. You will create those meaningful connections, those bonds, and that will take you to just join the meeting after like 2 or 3 months. We have a case now. One of our members, she's coming for the first time after being in our group for almost 6 months. And she said, okay, now you convinced me and I'm ready to join. And that was absolutely fantastic because she's feeling confident enough to come and put herself out there. And one of the things, bravo, yes, we are super happy. And one of the things that we are also offering in our platform is masterclass that will support these women to just throw this fear away, to just overcome their own, saboteurs, because sometimes it's you, your worst enemy. And when you feel that this group is there to support you and there are experts that will partner with you, like, for example, I am a coach myself, so I work with all expatriate women that are adjusting to a new country, that are with some of those blockages and some self-doubts. So first of all, let's work you yourself, empower you, and then you can come to the big group, and then who knows, start being the most talkative extroverted in the group.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Yes, Julie, go for it.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that, the kind of digital platforms are great for that. And then the other thing that I've offered to do, because I'm an ambivert, actually. I can be extrovert and introvert, so I'm an ambivert. But I've said I would, go along with you, the person, and we would kind of hang out together, and we would just be, go up to somebody and have a chat. And so it's more comfortable because you've got your anchor woman, and then it gets to the point where they're wandering off and you think, oh, I think they're sorted now, So I think it's like holding somebody's hand and then just actually letting it go. So that, all great ideas, about don't put pressure on yourself, maybe contact the head of the organization. Can I come and have a coffee with you? And then who do you think would be useful for me to meet? And then call that person, say, can I have a coffee with you, kind of thing. Or find somebody like me, you'll say, yeah, come on, let's go, grab my hand and we'll go. I'm your mountain woman, kind of thing. And definitely these digital platforms make it so much easier that, you don't have to kind of be face to face. But it's lovely when you see people flourish, isn't it? That, all of a sudden it's like, boom, off they go, wow. I love it.
Okay, so we have 2 more questions. I'm going to ask the first one. I will let you answer it, and then we'll see if we have time for the second one. The next question says, how do you choose your clients? I thought that having local clients was the best because I could interact with them, but I realized that not speaking the language made it very difficult to have local clients. So I went for expat clients, and I started selling to the expat community. But then the pandemic happened, and I expanded to trying to have a world community of clients. But I still believe that having local clients should be the real target. What do you think about this? Yes, Adriana?
I think,
and then Patricia? Yes?
I think,
Patricia, you go.
Sorry, I can wait.
Go ahead, Patricia. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I think when we are talking about clients, it's a very sensible part of a company. Because if you start, how do I say it? If you develop a kind of product that's very specialized, that really help people in this concern that you choose, doesn't matter what what you think, right? But if you develop a product that really helps, I think the clients, they come to you. You know, of course, it takes time. It's not it's not one post on Instagram. It takes time. You need to develop it, to give time. But I see the connection with clients in another way. You know, if you offer something that really helps, like Humanology, for example, the people, they come to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patricia. Adriana, you also wanted to answer the question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jessica. And Patricia, I totally agree with you. So it starts with a good product, trusting that it's going to be great, because you need to show that confidence to the people that you're selling the services or products, first of all. Then the consistency. So you should really be consistent about what you're talking about, what you're offering, about the benefits for the client, about that. But I would also add one very important thing that I have been learning myself since I've started Expats is really the power of referrals. So if you, for instance, have a client that will come do business with you, they will love what you offer. They will be doing the word of mouth, and that's the most powerful way of getting new clients. Because as from what we've witnessed, the social media like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, this is really good, but this is just to give you the visibility. The actual clients, we know that it will not come from that, but all the researches that we've been doing as well, it shows that 80% of our clients come through referral. So again, it comes back to the power of your network. Build a great network of support and they will do the work for you.
Thank you so much, Adriana, also for that answer. Anybody else would like to answer or make a comment on this? All right. The last question, I saved it last because I think it's quite something that many women feel, okay? The last question says, I am an expat who follows her husband. Let's see if I can read it, sorry. I am an expat who follows her husband, but he doesn't really value my entrepreneurship. His job always comes first, and that makes it very difficult for me to be a real businesswoman. Any hints or ideas on this? Adriana?
And I'm sorry, I'm always jumping in and bumping into the answers, but this is a reality. Great, thank you. This is a reality that is really dear to my heart. And believe me, I've been through this myself with my husband. So he's kind of, I'm the breadwinner, you're not going to make a fortune, I'm the one providing for the family. And it's really hard when you want to build your career, your new path now, while he's succeeding, you know, growing at work, because you have to give up your life, you have to give up your career to follow and support him, your family. And one of the things that I've learned myself is don't give up, trust yourself, find some space, you know, in between. Of course, I don't share now everything that is going on with my business, with him, and he sometimes is more interested in knowing more, and he asks me, so he's now supporting because he's seeing the benefits of that. He's seeing that I'm supporting my family. I'm not being a mother that is lacking, you know, education or support for my children, and also I am there for my own business, and I'm just dividing. So it's about time management, it's about priorities.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you very much for that answer. Anybody else would like to say something? Okay. So this comes to the end of the questions. I have to ask you if you have any questions that you would like to ask one another, or if there's any last comment or any message that you would like to transmit before we finish today's human conversation. Is there anybody would like, is there anything anybody would like to say?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I just think amazing to let you know today and I really want to let you know better and closer. I want to call you all girls, or 3 girls around Jessica. I know a long time very well, and wow, amazing what you said, and I think we can connect very well, and we can change our experience and support ourselves, although we are in different countries. So I'm very surprised. Thank you.
There goes the networking. Hey, Adriana. Hey, Julie. Hey, everyone. There starts the networking. Yeah, that's the whole idea. The possibilities offered by human conversations are there. So take advantage of them. And if you're watching this, if you're part of the audience and you would like to connect with any of our speakers or with us at the Institute, please feel free to text us. Feel free to send us a message and we'll get you through. Anybody else would like to say something? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Julie.
I would just like to say thank you so much. This is the power of, you know, taking action and connecting women around the globe and getting diverse responses and insights from women that have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, you know, had the highs, the lows, the plateaus, and are bouncing forward higher and stronger, and optimism and resilience. And I'm just so blessed to actually meet Alexandra, Adriana, and Patricia. And as you know, we met in India, and it's lovely that, you know, that these connections, you know, we might not be in the same country, we might not talk each day or each week, but they're there, you know, and it's wiring and firing. And I think this has been a really, really excellent topic, and I'm very, very happy that I was part of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. I'm so happy to have you here. I told you before we started that I was thrilled you were going to be here. I guess everyone understands why. I'm so happy for the 4 speakers we had today. Anybody else would like to add anything? I have something to say, if not. Okay, yes, Adriana, you go for it.
I would just like to thank you, Jessica, for being the great humanologist you are, for connecting us at this deep human level, because this is beautiful. As Patricia and Julia said, yes, we should give hearts to all of us because we are all doing great, and we should trust ourselves more than ever. So it's about, yay, it's about women empowerment, it's about supporting, it's about those meaningful connections, because doing business is easy, but finding the support is really precious. So thank you so much, Julie, Patricia, Alexandra, and Jessica, for the pleasure of being part of this panel with you.
Thank you, everyone. I didn't ask you if you had anything else to say to thank me at all, but I appreciate it and thank you so much. Okay, there is one thing I have to say before we close today, and that is what it is that we're going to be discussing in our next edition of Human Conversations. For those of you who come here for the first time, be aware that we have a human conversation every month. The topics are completely different. We deal with anything and everything that has to do with human beings, and we invite you to join us every month. You can participate, posing questions, sending your comments as you saw today, and we really appreciate you getting to know our community of experts. The next Human Conversation will happen June 12th, and the topic is going to be, let me see if I don't make a mistake this time, the topic is going to be individual responsibility in the COVID pandemic. So what are we responsible for? Each of us, individuals, in this pandemic. We're going to have 4 fantastic experts as well. We invite you to join us and to continue helping this community of human speakers grow around the world. Thank you to the 4 experts that joined us today. It was fantastic to have you all here. We finished a little bit early, but as I said, the speakers were so focused. It just went like that. I'm really, really, really happy to have had you all, and I hope to see you next month. Enjoy your month until then. Be happy, and let's continue growing this community. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.